Hey there, welcome to RishCraft. My name is Rish, and I like to sculpt half-decent dioramas to post on YouTube for you all to see. And today I decided to make the pigs from Angry Birds, except they're realistic and horrifying. So to start off today's creation, I got some foil and made a ball of foil and wrapped it in clay to make a ball of clay with foil on the inside to save on the cost of clay. I will not lie, I have not uploaded a video in over a year, and this was made in November 2024 and I'm recording this in September 2025, so it's been a long time. But I have edited this video about 4 times, lost all the footage about 4 times, and so I eventually decided to finish it. As for not uploading, it was just because I was low-key kind of lazy, but also I was in my final year of high school and I'd graduated 2 days ago. So I thought, why not, start the new era with a new video and hopefully come back. I still will have final exams within a month, starting in a month that will last a month. But then after that, around early November, I will hopefully be able to start uploading videos regularly. So continuing with the project, just got my ball of clay and then I'm building up the bulk of what will be the eyes, I'm pretty sure, just the eye sockets, but building them up with some added additions of clay. And that's basically the main goal of today's video, is just adding a bunch of coils of clay and balls of clay, smoothing it in, blending it in, and then they just look like wrinkles, I guess, because these are pretty ugly pigs, but they're fat, and I just figured make them ugly, and you got Angry Birds pigs, but they're realistic. One is half blown up and one is the king pig, so one kind of looks like a zombie, I guess, but it's just been blown up by getting hit by the tower. I was thinking what would be a cool follow-up is making the birds and then making a full diorama with the boxes and these pigs. So let me know down in the comments if you'd like to see that. As for the project, yet again, just added some balls of white clay for the eyes and then blending in the eyelids around. Then building up the bulk of the body with some coils of clay to give it that shape and that texture of the folds of skin and the wrinkles and the fat. I do have a few videos, I wouldn't say lined up, I have to edit them, and it's a lot of work. That's the worst part of making these, it's the editing. So I have like 30 hours of footage for the best model I've ever made, which I made at the end of 2023. It's a Spider-Man versus Venom with Miles Morales as well. And I made it for the new Spider-Man game, but I just couldn't finish editing it in time, and so I gave up. But hopefully I can edit that. I probably won't get that done before my finals, so that won't be for a little while. But I also have a super Shadow, so Shadow the Hedgehog, but he's like the Super Saiyan version of him, that I can also edit and hopefully upload. And then I have a few projects in the work. At the moment I've got a Garchomp build I'm making where he's realistic, deciding whether I want to make Cynthia as well to go along with that, and a few other ideas, as well as the shorts, which I'm hoping to continue with the making Pokemon but they're shit versions. So anyway, back to the model. Built up the wrinkles and the fat, and it's starting to look a bit more like the Angry Birds pigs, and I'm sort of getting a vision of how this is going to go from here. So getting in the, I guess you can say, the block or the ball of clay for the nose, and then building up the rest of the face with the wrinkles. So if it hasn't been made clear enough by now with the video and me saying it, it's literally just a ball of clay wrapped in a bunch of coils, blended to sort of resemble the pig. And that was really wide, not quite sure what for. I also lost all the footage as well, and I had to go looking through my bin and then recover and make copies of the footage, which somehow made the video much lighter. So But yeah, now I can build up the cheeks of the pig, which is kind of weird, but I had to make sure he was caked up, and as you can see here, he's starting to look a lot more realistic and a lot more like the pig. And so I can add the ears on, just blending them in as I normally do, and then outline the, I don't really know what this is called, but it's like the weird inside part of the ear, I guess. I don't know. It's like ear canal maybe. It's kind of weird on these sort of animals, especially when they're, you know, creative outlets and not really real things. Fictional is the word I was looking for. So yeah, and you can see the cheeks of the fully caked up king pig here. He is marginally larger than the other one, and so now I can make his crown. I think that's what comes next, which is just some clay wrapped around a clay roller, and then cut with the triangles at the top to get the crown. Oh no, I was wrong, I just ran out of clay. So that's just building up the bulk of wrinkles on the ears and the top of the head. Just pausing my voiceover there, and I looked ahead, and we are nowhere near the crown. I mean, sort of, but not really, because we have to get in the pig's ugly teeth. I don't normally name my models, but I feel like Gerard the king pig. I'm sure he has an actual name, but he looks like a Gerard, if I'm being honest. So yeah, for the teeth, it's sort of these teardrop shapes with like a divot put in the bottom, and then I can harden them using my heat gun, which is the new way I bake because I'm too lazy to go down, wait for the oven to heat up and put them in. Especially for the bigger projects, it helps because my oven's not too big and it saves a lot of space just by heating it up as you go. So the other one is a half chipped tooth. You have a full tooth going there, and then I just made the half chipped tooth, texturing them with like the plaque lines, just using my silicone shapers and a scalpel as well. And as you can see, the chipped tooth fits in very nicely, and it really looks quite good. I'm really happy. I think in terms of how my projects tend to go based on how I envision them, this is probably number one. But in terms of my favorite, I would again just go back to that Spider-Man video, which again you have to stick around for because I absolutely love it. It also helps because I'm completely out of the YouTube algorithm, and so hopefully being my best creation and hopefully best video by that point, I can upload it when YouTube will start favoring me again for hopefully some consistent uploads. So now we're onto the crown, which is just like I said, a coil of clay thick wrapped around a clay roller with the triangles cut out at the top, and then I will wrap it in these coils to give it a nice aesthetic, I guess. Not really sure what for. And then that will go on the head, and then I can start making the half blown up pig. With the sculpting done, I can now brush the crown with some isopropyl alcohol to remove the harsher edges, and that's the king pig finished, and on to the half blown up pig, which is a much shorter process within the context of the video because you saw the majority of how the first pig was made, and this was not too different, just starting similarly with the nose and the eye sockets, and one of his eyes is missing. So we had Gerard, who had both eyes, who's the king, and then we have Jesse over here who got blown up, so he only has half a good side. He's like Two-Face basically, and so just wrinkling up only one side because half of the other side is going to be shaped very differently, but bulking him up very similarly and basically the same way, just doing the same thing with the nose as well. And then I can start carving out all these sections where he has lost flesh and bone and his insides are showing. So this was almost like a little zombie take, I guess, on it, and I'd be interested in making a zombie anything really, to be honest, in future. It's always cool just to sculpt the flesh and the bone and the rib cage showing, and so just carving all those sections out, marking them between the lines of, you know, bone, flesh, like the skin, and then the inside sort of meaty inside, the fatty meat, red bloody gore, I guess. So anyway, just sort of roughening it up, making it look grotesque with the little holes, and only adding in one ear, I think, because the other ear slot is missing where it would go because it's been blown off his head. Doing the same thing, brushing it with isopropyl alcohol, and then I can add the bones. So it's very similar to the teeth in terms of giving it those, I guess the texture, I don't really know what to call it, and that's going to be for the rib cage. There's 2 bones showing 2 ribs. One rib is cracked in half as well, and doing the same thing I did with the teeth, which is just heating out with the heat gun. That way I can press it in more easily. And so the first bigger rib, the top rib, is cracked in half, and then the bottom one I can get in. And with that, that's the sculpting more or less finished. I think I can just give it the once over with the brush, the toothbrush, which gives it that nice porous texture, and then it's on to painting. So priming it white because I'm going to be painting with inks. Failed transition there, and then boom, we have primed it white. And then we can paint the crown with some gold, and I'll go and dirty it up as well, just because these guys are realistic. It's sort of grotesque. I don't imagine Gerard cleans his crown much. And so going over with some green ink, this is for resin, I think, and I wanted to get sort of this natural collection in the recesses to give it that nice recess shading. And then I can go over again with another green ink and drying it as I go with the heat gun, which Loki killed my lungs, but that was fine. And then I can dab away the green on the eyeballs with some isopropyl alcohol and a cotton bud. And then I'm going to paint that red to give it nice bloodshot eyes, and I'm going to come over and do the same and sort of give it a gradient from red to white in the middle, and then give it Gerard some pupils. Also doing the same with the teeth and giving them a brown wash, and giving Gerard the pupils, and then the, I guess you can say reflection, sun reflection, and then I can give it a once over with the opaque green paint, and then moving on to the blown up pig, which was Jesse, I believe, and we can paint all the bloody parts with a nice gory red, and then the eye hole, I guess, gets a deep black, and then painting it green very much the same way we did Gerard, and then going over with a bone white on all the bony sections. And then that's more or less the painting. He doesn't really get a pupil, not quite sure why, but it looks more freaky that way, and I kind of like it. And then I can go with some UV resin over the eyelids, or the eyes, sorry, to give it a nice lively look. And that is today's project complete, just going over with some gloss Mod Podge. And with that, we are on to the reveal shots. So that draws today's video to a close. I hope you enjoyed the video. It was quite fun to sculpt, over a year ago at least. So make sure to like, comment and subscribe, share with your friends, family and enemies, and stick around for some more videos, hopefully if I can get more consistent with uploading. And I'll be seeing you next time.